Episode 4 Stuck in the Middle How We Can Help Nature and Pets Coexist. Australia is one of the most important nations on Earth for biodiversity. In fact, it is one of only 17 mega-diverse nations, with over 80% of Australia's plant, mammal, frog, and reptile species occurring nowhere else in the world. And we, as the nation's top predator and the biggest reason our wildlife is displaced and killed, have a duty to protect it and coexist with it, especially when it comes to our dogs and our wildlife.
Dog interactions with wildlife is the fourth leading cause for koala fatalities. Koalas have essentially an 85% chance of passing away from those interactions. And I think at the core of the issue is not really the dogs themselves, it's the habitat destruction that has come from, housing has increased those interactions between dogs and wildlife. These animals are trying to move through people's backyards to get to different parts of their habitat and to find food.
Every time we walk our dogs, they have an impact. Take their waste. For us, it's a smelly inconvenience that we don't mind leaving on the ground if no one's looking. But when overbreeding, lack of neutering, and every second dog on a walk leaves behind their feces, it leaves an overwhelming amount of waste.
When dogs' feces is left in these areas where wildlife are frequenting, it can be stressful for them because they have the scent of the dog, and so that is stressful for the wildlife.
Not only is it common courtesy to pick up after your dog, it's also your duty as a pet owner. Dog waste takes up to 12 months to fully break down. And no, rainwater doesn't wash it away either. It instead spreads it further into lakes, streams, and rivers, contaminating waterways. Not only that, but the disease-causing bacteria and parasites within dog waste can spread not just to another person's dog, but to our wildlife and humans as well. Even if your dog isn't showing any symptoms, they could be carrying something. Parasites and bacteria in pet waste can remain in soil for years, posing a significant health risk. It also affects water quality by releasing harmful nutrients that cause algae and weed overgrowth. Ideally, you want to keep your dog from pooping within 200 feet of any body of water. And if you're near one, be mindful and avoid throwing waste into storm drains. Contrary to popular belief, dog poop is not a good fertilizer. It can disrupt ecosystems, especially in densely populated areas. While an ecosystem can handle about 2 dogs per square mile, many cities have around 125, making regular waste pickup crucial for environmental balance. Then there's the more direct impact. Dogs, by instinct, accident, or other, often attack or disturb wildlife, disrupting their habitats and behavior.
Well, I would say for koalas, it would be, a good 25% of their problem, if not more. So I don't think it's a simple answer, because if you live in a suburban environment, if you're a koala, the chances of you getting mauled by a dog are extremely high.
This is the reality of irresponsible ownership.
I've seen people train their dog, and most people can barely get them to sit and stay, let alone leave a koala, unless you are a really dedicated trainer, which most people are not.
The good news, there are so many achievable ways to protect and reduce the impact of your dog. Neuter and vaccinate your dogs. Pick up after them. Keep them on a leash in sensitive wildlife areas. Use biodegradable bags. These are simple steps, but they go a long way towards protecting our environment and the creatures who live in it. There are some amazing training sessions for dog trainers, puppy schools, and people to attend.
So our Leave It program is all around training dog owners in what's called wildlife avoidance. But to get to wildlife avoidance, you need the other core skills like sit, stay, and come when called. So those are all really important skills for wildlife avoidance, but they're also just basic skills that make for a more well-rounded and well-trained dog. In our Leave It program, we actually partner with local councils, and we do what's called a train the trainer session. So we bring up an expert trainer and we get local dog trainers and we upskill them. We also offer Leave It pop-ups. So these are usually free events for the community, and we have a free dog training app which is called the Leave It Dog Training app, and there it has again all the basic skills that you need to build to wildlife avoidance, with videos from our expert trainer and exercises you can practice at home, and of course the ultimate goal of wildlife avoidance is also there as well, so people can progress through this app.
I get it, some people don't have the time or money, which is a whole other part on the discussion on if you're fit to own a dog. But if that's not a viable option and you do live somewhere where wildlife frequents, creating an escape route for them, as simple as a log placed up against the fence so they can climb back out, and keeping any trees around as well in your backyard so that they have somewhere higher up to escape to as well.
I mean, I think it's pretty dire, to be honest. And I just, I think people either care or they don't care. You just need to go to the RSPCA and see how many dogs are abused. And then you sort of start to lose hope that someone's going to care about a koala, but they don't even care about the physical aspects of their dog. I think only because I've been exposed to, pounds, shelters, and you just see the constant abuse that's going on.
We can only hope that through combined efforts, we can become a nation that truly creates a peaceful coexistence between our dogs and wildlife. But the effort has to come from everyone and not just dog owners.
I went to public school probably, 3 years ago now. They didn't ever talk about it. And that was at the RSPCA in Brisbane, which is crazy, I think that would have been a prime area for them to go, and did you know our native wildlife can be attacked by your dog? They could have just said it at one time and they didn't say a word.
Pet excrement is the obvious thing you think about when I say dog waste. Sure, but there are other things people need to be made aware of as well. Overbreeding, not getting your dog vaccinated, and not getting them neutered. These are all massive things, as well as the sustainability of dog toys, beds and food, packaging, a whole other can of worms, but we won't go into that in this episode. But things people don't truly think about in relation to dogs. There are 328,000 homeless dogs and over 62,000 sheltered ones in Australia. Overbreeding is the principal contributor to the already significant numbers of unwanted animals, resulting in full and overcrowded shelters and rescue groups all across Australia. Sadly, the breeding of pets and the resulting overpopulation leads to the euthanization of thousands of healthy, unwanted animals every year. An accidental litter in your neighbor's backyard sounds harmless, but when it's happening in every 10th backyard all over Australia, it's a problem, one that is easily fixed by getting your dog neutered. So, I've thrown a lot at you, but let me make it simple. Dogs, by nature and interaction, pose threats to wildlife through attacks and disease, as well as stress and displacement. While habitat destruction has escalated these encounters, the role of responsible pet ownership cannot be overstepped. Pick up your dog's waste. Keep your dog on a leash in sensitive wildlife areas, and create wildlife escape routes in your backyard if you live in an area where animals frequently move through. Even restricting your dog at night, having them sleep in a crate inside or with minimal access to your entire backyard. Neuter and vaccinate your dog to prevent overpopulation and disease. Support wildlife avoidance training programs to reduce dog attacks on wildlife. But most importantly, only buy a dog when you've considered the breed and your financials to make sure you're being the best and most responsible pet owner you can be. Though loving and deep, our relationship with dogs clearly bears a heavy weight of obligation. When we decide to welcome a dog into our life, we have to consider not only the happiness they provide, but also the amount of time, energy, and money they require. A dog is not a romantic gift or an accessory to teach a lesson. It is a living being that requires careful consideration before joining your family. Think about your lifestyle and if you're actually ready for the financial, emotional, and physical responsibilities of pet ownership. Investigate the demands of the breed, their energy levels, health issues, temperament, even how well they match your house and schedule. Because at the end of the day, owning a dog is more than companionship. It is a commitment to a better life for both you and your furry friend, while being mindful of the world around you. Every choice we make as dog owners affects our surroundings, wildlife, community, and environment in addition to our dogs. It's time to be conscious, responsible, and proactive in making sure our love of dogs generates a positive rather than a negative ripple in the world.